All right, Jamie, good afternoon. Hey, it's good to be back from my trip on the West Coast. How have things been here? Hot and
They've
humid?
been hot and humid, terribly humid. But this isn't going to be a perfect one. We probably should have done this one prior to you leaving, though, and going on your trip.
Yeah, I actually had some really good food. And because each day we were eating outside 7 cities, 14 different restaurants. And uh, here was the highlight. I mean, the three foods our kids chose: Mexican, Italian, and Indian. That's really was most of our itinerary. Um, cool thing, Oregon, Portland, Oregon. They have a lot of food trucks. We enjoyed our last meal there right before coming to the airport. So you got some Chinese. I got some Middle Eastern country food, and it was amazing. A Turkish coffee, a Turkish
Okay.
tea, and I was like, so this is good that this thing is happening after I came back because I didn't want to be mindful about what I ate there.
It's all about our choices. So we're really excited to do this again. Have been building this content for a while. I know we reduced down to once a month. So just as reminders, as you're joining us, say hi, tell us where you're from. We're sitting here in Des Moines, so we are under a heat advisory in the air conditioning, but it is hot and muggy outside. Let us know where you're at and how hot it is. If you're watching us after the fact, feel free to continue to join in and ask us questions. We will still respond to you via comments after the fact. So just excited to be here and with you guys.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today in hot Des Moines, Iowa. And here's the thing: what it just every time shocks me. I've seen this information a lot of times. Average dinner meal at a restaurant has 1,200 calories. 1,200 calories. How long did that take? How many hours of biking? Probably a dozen hours of biking, 6 hours of running. It's just crazy. So the good news, though, is we have Jamie and another rock star we'll introduce today. We'll be talking about these three key items. How do you keep your sugars in check when eating out? Taking a closer look at diabetes-friendly options in different cuisines, because there are a lot of choices in US. So how do you find diabetes-friendly options? And then really how to make those good choices when right in the moment. So that's all what we'll talk about today. Jamie, you want to add anything to the objective before I introduce our speaker?
No, and we've got some fun activities at the end. So do stay tuned all the way through until the end. We'll be making over some meals. We've got some new people joining us. Noreen, thanks for joining us all the way from Marion. Jerry from Sojourny, and then Morgan. You guys, thanks for joining us.
Excellent. All right. So today, to add to our mix, we are bringing in, apart from Jamie, Christine Burke. And Christine is a physician assistant at Iowa Diabetes, joined us several months ago. She claims she joined us in 2015. And Christine, you'll see my email soon about that. But yes, several
Did
months.
I?
Now, she's very passionate about lifestyle and food and activity, just living your best life. She has three masters. I just reminded myself, many masters, including masters of education and biomedical engineering and so forth. Now, the biggest thing about her is I wrote it down. She's a TikTok and Instapot star. TikTok and Instapot star. No, it's not Instagram. She herself said she uses Instapot a lot. So I'm really looking forward to this fun packed conversation between Jamie and Christine. Ladies, take it away.
Yeah.
Thank you for the introduction. And yes, I do love my Instapot. It's super awesome.
It's a
I'm
great
super
way
happy to be here today.
It's a great way to cook a meal. We've got a few
It
more
is.
people joining us. Connie, Curtis, Randy. Hello again. Thanks for joining us.
Everybody.
I'm going to kick us off by getting us started with a really quick poll. So we're talking about going to restaurants. So what kind of a restaurant personality would you call yourself? Are you a same meal Sally, a picky Pete, cheat day Charlie, or a mindful Mary? Let us know what you are. As they're answering, Christine, what would you call yourself?
Well, there are definitely meal items that if I go to a certain restaurants and I've had it before and it's delicious, I will definitely order it again. But I would say I'm kind of a combination between same meal Sally and a little bit of cheat day Charlie. I don't go out to eat much, so when I do, I let myself indulge a little bit on that one. How about you?
I would say in between a cheat day Charlie and a mindful Mary. And I think it depends on how hungry I am when I go to that restaurant. If I don't go hungry, I'm usually a mindful Mary, but watch out if I'm hungry.
Right, exactly.
Looks like we've got a few answers coming out. We've got Casey saying cheat day Charlie. Morgan is a picky Pete. Courtney is the same meal Sally. Noreen, same meal drive-through. Reagan is same as nope, a little bit different than you, Christine.
Okay.
An A and a D. Curtis is an A. Cassidy an A and a C. Lori's a D. Randy's a B. Jerry's an A. So great mixture. And Casey wrote in her own option, and this I think would be what I would Angry Heather. I would put my kids on this too. Anytime they are hangry, feed me food. Get me food as fast as you can.
Exactly.
So we're excited, I think, to go through some of these topics. It's things that we talk about all the time with some of our people that we're around. But before we get too much into the weeds and get into the menus, I just wanted to briefly touch on some of the tips that I have in order to make sure that you're keeping your sugars in check when you're at a restaurant. Number one, you got to make sure you're bringing whatever kit with you. Checking your sugars either while you're in the car or in the restaurant. And if you are on mealtime insulin, making sure you're bringing all of that with you so that you can take it at the appropriate time. You'll never keep your sugars in check if you're not taking your medicines and checking your sugars appropriately before a meal. Number two, it's all about what you're drinking. Yes, diabetes you've got to watch your carbohydrate intake on what you're eating, but there are a lot of carbohydrates are hidden in what we're drinking. So really avoiding those sugary beverages that are hidden in alcoholic beverages and hidden in the sweet teas and the lemonades. So trying to stick to sugar-free tea or sparkling water if you need a little bit of fizzle. During these restaurants. And if you need a little bit of flavor, add in sparkler or add in a little bit of lemon. I did that for my kids the other day. I cut up a lemon and I dropped it in their water and they thought it was the most fantastic drink.
Yeah.
It was so fancy. So just doing little things like that.
Even add a little stevia or something in there and make it into like a little healthier version of a lemonade, right?
Yeah. What are some tips that you have, just like overall tips that you have?
So, a lot of times you'll go to the restaurant and the first thing you'll see is you have, your bread or your chips. So trying to avoid that and getting like a lower carb appetizer, a charcuterie board, or like shrimp cocktail, or asking for some chopped up veggies with a lighter salad dressing. Some healthier options that are going to help prevent you from overeating on some of the higher carb foods. Also, we mentioned try not to go in so hungry, but sometimes you can't prevent that. So drinking like a glass of water before you have your meals, another way to kind of fill up your stomach a little bit so you're less likely to overeat. We're not saying in this that you can't enjoy the foods that you want to eat, but if you can portion control those, your sugars are going to be much lower as well.
I would agree with you with that portion control. One of the things that I try to do is if I'm going with my husband, he and I will often split a meal and just right down the middle. We'll just, before we even get started, here's your half, here's my half. And if I'm not with him, just consciously making that effort of I'm only going to eat a portion of this. And then guess what? I get to enjoy it the next day. And it's like I'm going out to eat again.
Exactly. Ordering something healthy with that, like to start before you eat. Like, let's say you're going to do like lasagna or something. Do like a healthy side salad. Eat that first. So you're getting some of those nutrients because a lot of times hunger is based on nutritional needs, not calorie intake. So if you're giving your body some of those healthy nutrients and protein from the get-go, you're going to be less hungry throughout dinner. So another little tip to preventing from overeating on those meals.
One of the things that I read earlier this year was everybody's resolutions, everybody's determination goes down when you're hungry. So when you're hungry, when you're not getting enough sleep, your resolution to make good decisions goes down. So making sure that you are being nutritious, maybe not going starving, and that you're getting the right amount of sleep. It helps you make the right choices when you've got all those temptations in front of you.
Exactly.
Got another poll for you guys. This one, I'm hoping,
this is a good one.
Is a good one. It's a little bit fun. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about some of these foods and things that we've got on this slide. Which one of these meals is the healthiest meal? So we've got a couple of different options for you. And Cassidy, I completely agree with you. And I've done that tip before where if the portion is really big, asking for that to-go box right away and just putting half of it to the side. And then it's taken care of. Out of sight, out of mind. I can't even reach and keep grabbing at the fries on my plate if that's what's on there.
Does anyone else, when they know they want to be done, just stick your napkin and other trash on your plate so then you're really less tempted? Because I've done that one before.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which one is the healthiest meal? It looks, we've got some different cuisines. We've got some Mexican or Tex-Mex from on the border. We've got P.F. Chang's Kung Pao chicken, Olive Garden's soup and salad, Applebee's Oriental chicken, and Texas Roadhouse. And what we're thinking about is overall healthiest meal in terms of calories, sodium, carbohydrates, kind of looking at the whole picture here.
Yep.
So we've got Randy saying D, Casey saying D, Morgan D, Curtis E, Jerry A, Cassidy E, and Reagan A. So have a variety.
Yeah, big variety on that one.
Yeah.
Should we break it to them?
Yeah. I think we got somebody that has the right answer. Lori, you have the right answer.
Ding, ding, ding,
as
ding.
long as we're keeping to 1 serving of soup and 1 serving of salad and 2 breadsticks. If you're doing this, I think it's zuppa toscana soup. That is actually the healthiest option when you're staying within those portions.
Which that soup does have some kale in it. So that's a good leafy green that has a lot of nutrient value, but is low in calories. So you're also getting, and then obviously the different veggies in the salads. You're getting some of the nutrients in there too, not just with it being lower in calories and fat than some of the other choices.
Yeah, with that, I think it was the lower in calories, but it was also lower in carbs and sodium. Yep. So I think what was the carbs for it completely was close to about just over 60 grams of carbs if you're eating that meal. All of you that I tracked with this Applebee's Oriental salad, which used to be one of my favorite salads. When I used to go, it was what I ate every single time. Just to break it to you, it is 1,500 calories. So it's way over that average that we put on there of 1,100. It's over 1,500 calories when you're getting that salad.
Which just to break that down calorie-wise, usually for most people's weight and age and so forth, to maintain your current weight, it's usually around 1,900, 2,000 calories a day. And then if you're wanting to, try to have some weight loss, you're looking at more around 1,500 calories a day. So essentially in one meal, if you're trying to lose a little bit of weight, you just ate what you can eat for a whole day in one meal.
And it's 120 grams of carbs. That's the other thing. Yes, you're getting lettuce, you're getting iceberg lettuce, you're getting some carrots, you're getting a little cabbage, but you're also getting the fried chicken with the extra breading and all that extra sodium. You're getting some breadsticks on the side. You're getting if you've ever had that, they really douse the salad in a bunch of salad dressing, and it's got 110 grams of carbs with that salad. So it's another one that's just going to spike your sugar up because of how much sugar is in that salad dressing. So the other popular one on here, as we kind of looked through, was E. And so we did a little bit of research because we think, hey, we've got diabetes. We want to go with a heavier protein meal. Right, Christine?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But
and protein helps you feel fuller sooner as well. So,
and it does. And as long as we're sticking to a lean cut of meat, we're good. It's when we throw in our loaded baked potato that we add in and get a bunch of trouble. So with the loaded baked potato, let me grab my notes because
I might be able to find it here too. I think the loaded baked potato was 650 calories.
Yeah, just the baked potato itself.
Yes.
And 61 grams of carbs. Now the steak itself was 340 calories. So much lower calories than the baked potato itself.
Only 5 grams of carbs there. So.
And then the other thing that as we were putting this together, we kept on salivating over was those rolls. Right. And we don't have them here. But what gets you at Texas Roadhouse are those so good, those honey rolls and that honey cinnamon butter. And that gets you whenever you go to a steakhouse when they put that bread in front of you. So again, that one got you. And then the fajitas, we had a couple of people that said the fajitas, and that one actually had the most calories. It was at 1,800 calories. Its carbohydrate content was a little bit less at 31, but it was high in calories and sodium. So that's why we didn't pick that one as a winner.
Yeah, we'll talk about some ways of modifying that, though, as we continue on so that you can still enjoy some of your fajitas and other things, but have less carbs and calories.
So Christine, let's talk about the different cuisine options. So when we're trying to make over an Italian meal, I know in this case, Olive Garden's soup and salad, right? That was our healthiest, I say that with quotations, healthiest choice on that menu. But I think there are some healthier options that you can potentially pick on like an Olive Garden or an Italian menu. What are some tips that you have for our...
Well, and a lot of, when you think of Italian, you think of your pastas and your, lasagnas and things like that. But they actually have a lot of good fish options that are much lower in carbs and are healthier. They typically have a nice veggie option that you can get. Some Italian restaurants now are even going to different veggie type of noodles that you can opt out as, swap in as part of your options. Doing like an appetizer that's like an antipasta, like maybe some bruschetta without the bread part, so you have your tomato, your cheese, your basil, that would be a nice option to start with. And then if you decided to get a pasta, you're not going to be quite as hungry. You can eat less of it.
Yep. I'd like that option. Kind of fill up on some of the other things ahead of time. And again, bring home your pastas or bring home your leftovers and portion them out at home as well. I'd love that idea. As I was thinking about American options, like what we're having at a Texas Roadhouse or an Applebee's. For that Applebee's salad, I think switching it to the grilled chicken, getting off of the fried, taking that breading out is key. The other thing with the salad is I never let the cooks or the chefs dress it. So I want to be the person in control of the dressing. So if I have it on the side and then I can pour either a quarter or half of the amount, or even better, if you just want to taste, you take your fork, dip your fork in, and then you can put your fork in your salad and get just a little bit of a flavor of that salad along with it.
Sometimes I'll even do like salsa as a dressing. instead of an actual, typical salad dressing, because you're going to get some less calories and you're going to get some extra nutrients in that as well. And it's delicious. So
I do a really good job until I mix that with sour cream. And then I lose some of my caloric benefit with that.
Well, if you go to our Food Swap Friday series, we did do one with sour cream.
Okay.
So we have a swap for
that. So I'm going to you because you are my Tex-Mex guru, being from Arizona before coming here, right? Arizona.
Yes, I am a big fan, I should say, of good Mexican food from being from Arizona. And it can be tricky because when you get to the table, there's delicious chips and salsa. A lot of times there's queso, but you can do healthy modifications. Believe it or not, some of the Mexican food restaurants will have chopped veggies that you can use to go in your queso or your salsa, or even order guacamole, which has, that healthy avocado and some other veggies in there, and use that with the veggies is one option. Another option is get the little side plate, put some chips on there, and limit yourself to that so that you're not, sometimes we're just talking and then we start eating and we're like, by the time we're done, we're like, oh my gosh, I just ate that whole basket of chips. And you don't even think about it. So having just like limiting your portion to what's on your plate and then, leaving the rest for whoever you're dining with is another option there. And then, with the fajitas is an example where maybe do one tortilla and then munch more on the meat and veggies. You're still going to enjoy that flavor and get what you want there, but you're just going to have a lot less carbs and calories.
Hey, Dr. B, you're popping in.
I know, we see you.
Oh, I heard Mexican food and I was totally in. Like I wanted to hear.
Exactly.
Because man, those chips, salsa, it just gets too much. But I wanted to talk about Indian food. But let's finish Mexican, then I'll talk about Indian food.
Well, and your beverages, like your margaritas and so forth, do have a lot of sugar, but a lot of the restaurants will have like a skinny margarita version, so there's some other options there with moderation that you can still enjoy that food, but have, a much lower carb and calorie version.
Yeah. The other trick is if you do order that skinny version, again, stick to one. Don't say I'm having the skinny so I can have 3, 4. Stick to one of your skinny option, and you're always going to be benefiting. Casey's got a question for us about fries. Are sweet potato fries any healthier than regular fries? Carb content, they're going to be similar, if not the sweet potatoes a little bit higher in carbohydrates.
Yeah,
where I like the sweet potato fries are the nutrient factors. So if you think about food, I like to talk about my food rainbow. I want to hit my reds, my oranges, my yellows, greens, and blues, and make sure I'm hitting all of them. Sweet potatoes are going to have more nutrients in that red and orange area, whereas your regular potatoes are going to be more in your whites, which still have some nutrients, just not as many as the sweet potato. So Dr. B, give us some tips on Indian food.
All right. So there are plenty of choices. The food is typically spicy. So ask for mild or 1. Unless you want to eat very little, then you can order a 5 or very spicy. That's one way of reducing your portion size. Now, lentils, the protein in Indian diet, the lentils are really good. So the dal fry or other lentils are a great source. Chickpeas and beans. So those are really some good healthy options. In terms of breads, it's a little bit hard. All of the breads are made of wheat and good amount of calories, but roti, which is the Indian tortilla, is probably better than the other versions. So think about that. Rice, try to limit that. In terms of the non-vegetarian options, the chicken, especially the tandoori chicken, is pretty healthy, cooked extremely well, and mostly protein, a little bit of other stuff. So those are some recommendations for Indian food. That's not what I order when I go. I'm just talking about what you should order when you go. Okay.
So now I want to know, because we are definitely, we've got some areas and some of our tips and tricks But we want to hear from you guys. We already heard from Cassidy a little bit on what she does by bringing that to go box out. But what are your favorite restaurant tips or cheats to help you keep your caloric intake and your carb intake down? Let us know what you do. And as you do that, Dr. B, you got to hear Christine and I's kind of tips. We heard your tips on Indian cuisine. What other tips do you have? What do you do besides ordering food that you can no longer eat after 15 minutes?
Right. So a few things. We confuse thirst and hunger. So just make sure you are not thirsty. So fill yourself up with a little bit of water. Another thing, order a salad to begin with. Another option, when I go to Indian parties, I just eat a lot. So what I try to do at home is eat a salad before I go. If you can add some protein there to that, even better. Don't be hangry Heather. Means don't be in that mood when you go and you order. You just order everything, and once you order, it's there. You're going to eat it. Um, Mindful eating, which restaurants do allow that, as opposed to home where you're watching something. Don't get distracted with anything else except conversation with your friend or loved one. So those are some things I would say.
Yeah, Casey, I like yours. In general, vinaigrette types of dressings are going to be lower in calories than your creamy dressings. So your ranches, your Caesars, and your Thousand Islands are three that tend to have higher calories.
One other thing I would say, that's a good choice. One addition to that, my doctor taught me how to eat a dressing. She was a friend as well. She would actually dip her fork in the dressing and then use it on the
You
salad.
You weren't paying attention earlier, were you?
There we go. All
Yeah,
right.
that was a tip.
Okay, there we go. Then move on. Yeah.
Lori, you've got unsweetened iced tea with lemon, and then you can control and add a little bit of sugar sweet substitute.
I like it.
to it. I like that one a lot. Cassidy at Who Hot, you get zucchini noodles. Yeah, those zoodles.
idea.
I like that as an option. That
too.
definitely can help. Connie, I usually order salmon with a vegetable as a side with sweet potato fries and then bring half of it home. I love that bringing half home because then it's like this treat the next day and you're just extending the good food.
I do like when Chastity said, don't bring the rice. So get those sides out of the way. Don't bring the rice, don't bring the chips, don't bring the bread. Our guilt is we end up eating a lot of bread while we're waiting. Don't even bring it. So a good idea to not order.
I try to, if I'm not in the mood, I won't even uncover it. So if they bring out the bread, I'll push it to the corner, put the napkin over it, try to hide it. Looks like Randy's saying he goes more with the proteins and the veggies. Morgan opting for steamed veggies as a side versus like baked potato or fries. Absolutely. And if you could go with those non-starchy, like a broccoli or a cauliflower steamed, and one of my favorites, Brussels sprouts. I mean, my mouth is watering.
Well, and those veggies, I just call those like free for all because they have hardly any carbs. They have a ton of fiber, super low in calories. So really, you can fill up on those as much as you want.
Yep. Courtney tries to order kids' meals through the drive-thrus for portion control.
I like it.
I like that.
I think Angie probably likes the toy, right?
Yeah. I wonder if Courtney has to change her voice also when she has to order that. Just kidding.
We know Courtney, so we're
You
able
guys,
to
these are great. Connie, yeah, always drink water. I love that tip. And I think, Christine, I always used to tell people just to have that water and be drinking it throughout the meal. I liked your tip. You were very specific in saying, like, drink it before have a goal to drink an entire glass of water before your meal even comes.
Yep.
And I think that's a good goal that many people can shoot for. I know I struggle with water intake just in general. So to me, that's always a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
The last little thing, we only have a few minutes left, but we wanted to make over a meal. So if I can bring up, I know we've got 4 different meals on that one slide, but let's bring up that Texas Roadhouse meal with the 8-ounce sirloin. And just, Christine, talking about ways that you would make a change. Like, what are some of your, for lack of a better word, Friday's food swaps?
Okay. Well, the first one looking on there is the delicious baked potato. You mentioned with your color rainbow and, potatoes being a vegetable, but as far as nutrient value, and then you add a lot of the fat and saturated fat with your cheese and your sour cream and your butter and your bacon. So I would probably first admit that and try to add, a different veggie option there, whether it's your green beans or your broccoli or, zucchini, something like that to replace the baked potato part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Hey, Robert, I'm glad you can make it. We've got Chef Robert Lewis on as we're talking about food.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's all about portion size with that Texas Roadhouse as well. So that baked potato is over the probably portion size for a healthy carb. And then making sure you're sticking to the one roll if you are going to choose to eat that roll. And just
we looked up, which I thought was interesting, is, the baked potato, I think we said was like 600 calories or something, the loaded. Mm-hmm. But a side of mashed potatoes with gravy was 290 calories. So if you're looking for your potato starch, I mean, just that in itself, you're going to be cutting your calories and fat pretty much in half.
I'm going to admit something. I was just at a steakhouse with my husband when my kids were out of town, and I ordered the baked potato. He ordered the mashed potatoes. I thought I was being more healthy than him. Now I know I'm not true, and I still ate the whole baked potato. So now I know what to order if I want a little bit of potato. So that was a good food thing that I learned. So Dr. B, I know you weren't necessarily listening the whole time because you missed some of my tips, but
I am so sorry. I'm being admonished now publicly. Yeah.
What like from what you listened to, what you learned, what would be your big takeaways before we wrap up?
Well, I think so. Food is an essential part of being and our experience socially and any other way we look at it. So I want people to enjoy food, just make healthy, pleasant choices that they can make lifelong. And mindfulness is a critically important part of it. Just when you have that food, pay attention to that food, eat it slowly and savor it. So those are a few things I want to mention from my standpoint.
Yeah, I like those tips. Christine, anything else to add?
Yeah, I like what you said about eating slowly, because a lot of times we eat so quickly and we don't realize that we're actually probably full. So I do like that tip that you mentioned, Dr. B, with the eating more slowly. I have young kids, and sometimes we'll like, you know what, we're going to do a pizza night. But one tip that I have, or that I use in general and at the restaurant, same thing too, is I'll usually do like a spinach salad, some kind of healthy vegetable meal or salad before I do the pizza. So then I may only have just one slice of pizza, versus if I didn't do that healthy option first, then I would want to eat like 4 pieces of pizza. And so, you still get to enjoy the food that you like. You're just changing how and when you eat it. So eating those healthier options first is going to make you feel fuller sooner. You're going to get more nutrients into your system, which is super important to, your body to function at its, peak level. And then but you still get to enjoy some of those, slightly more unhealthy foods just in moderation.
Yeah, I like that. I think the theme that we're all kind of speaking towards is creating that healthy relationship with food, so that we're all able to enjoy a happy, healthy life. So I like that. And everything in moderation is key. And so you can go out to eat within moderation. It's just watching what you're eating a little bit and taking a few of these tips and tricks that we've done and creating something that works for you.
Okay. I have a thing to say. So great job. I enjoyed it. I was listening to most of it. Great tips came out, not from just two of you, but also from the audience. May I request some sort of collation of these tips and sharing it with our people on Facebook and stuff? That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, we can attempt.
Definitely. Great idea.
Um, our next choice, our next session is going to be again in 4 weeks, but we'll continue to have some different miniature ones. We might be doing one next week on fast food options. So do stay tuned for a quick one during the middle of the day next week, where we might give you tips on fast food chains on what we would pick as we're going through there. But our next big one will be August 25th, and we're going to be talking about stress busters.
Excellent. Beautiful. Now, this is good. Food and stress and fantastic. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Christine, thank you for enlightening us with your lightning presentation. Our TikTok and Instapod star is right here. Again, great job today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in our fight against diabetes. Let's change diabetes together.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. It was fun.